Death is not the worst that can happen to men. Poetry is nearer to vital truth than history. Time is the moving image of eternity. The soul of man is immortal and imperishable. Those whose hearts are fixed on reality itself deserve the title of philosophers. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future life. Wealth is the parent of luxury and indolence, and poverty of meanness and viciousness, and both of discontent. Musical training is a more potent instrument than any other, because rhythm and harmony find their way into the inward places of the soul. The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our ways, I to die, and you to live, which is better God only knows. You are young, my son, and, as the years go by, time will change, and even reverse many of your present opinions. Refrain therefore a while from setting yourself up as a judge of the highest matters. A man who has any self-respect, nothing is more dishonorable than to be honored, not for his own sake, but on account of the reputation of his ancestors. He who is of calm and happy nature will hardly feel the pressure of age, but to him who is of an opposite disposition youth and age are equally a burden. The people have always some champion whom they set over them and nurse into greatness. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs. When he first appears, he is a protector. But if we had no master to show, and only a number of worthless buildings or none at all, then, surely, it would be ridiculous in us to attempt public works, or to advise one another to undertake them. Is not this true? All knowledge, when separated from justice and virtue, is seen to be cunning and not wisdom. Wherefore make this your first and last and constant and all-absorbing aim, to exceed, if possible, not only us, but all your ancestors in virtue. Man is a prisoner who has no right to open the door of his prison and run away. A man should wait, and not take his own life until God summons him. And at first he would most easily discern the shadows and, after that, the likenesses or reflections in water of men and other things, and later, the things themselves, and from these he would go on to contemplate the appearances in the heavens and heaven itself. In no way can it be uttered, as can other things, which one can learn. Rather, from out of a full, coexistential dwelling with the thing itself, as when a spark, leaping from the fire, flares into light, so it happens, suddenly, in the soul, there to grow, alone with itself. Sons, the event proves that your fathers were brave men. For we might have lived dishonorably, but have preferred to die honorably rather than bring you and your children into disgrace, and rather than dishonor our own fathers and forefathers. When the mind's eye rests on objects illuminated by truth and reality, it understands and comprehends them, and functions intelligently. But when it turns to the twilight world of change and decay, it can only form opinions. Its vision is confused, and its beliefs shifting, and it seems to lack intelligence. Either death is a state of nothingness and utter unconsciousness, or, as men say, there is a change and migration of the soul from this world to another. Now if death be of such a nature, I say that to die is to gain, for eternity is then only a single night. But if I died, because I have no powers of flattery or rhetoric, I am very sure that you would not find me repining at death. For no man, who is not an utter fool and coward, is afraid of death itself, but he is afraid of doing wrong. Never mind if someone despises you as a fool, and insults you, if he has a mind. Let him strike you, by Zeus, and do you be of good cheer. And do not mind the insulting blow, for you will never come to any harm in the practice of virtue, if you are a really good true man. Let every man remind their descendants that they also are soldiers who must not desert the ranks of their ancestors, or from cowardice fall behind. Philosophers tell us, Calicles, that communion and friendship, and orderliness and temperance and justice bind together heaven and earth and gods and men, and that this universe is therefore called cosmos or order, not disorder or misrule, my friend. No man can escape fate, and therefore he is not fond of life. He leaves all that with God, and considers in what way he can best spend his appointed term, whether by assimilating himself to the constitution under which he lives. Well, then, if you and I, Calicles, were intending to set about some public business, and were advising one another to undertake buildings, such as walls, docks or temples of the largest size, ought we not to examine ourselves, first, as to whether we know or do not know the art of building, and who taught us? Would not that be necessary, Calicles? Great leaders create more leaders, not followers. If you start by promising what you don't even have yet, you'll lose your desire to work towards getting it. When defeat comes, accept it as a signal that your plans are not sound. Rebuild those plans, and set sail once more toward your coveted goal. We are not going to die, Butter stared up at me, pale, his eyes terrified. We're not. No. And do you know why? He shook his head. Because Thomas is too pretty to die. And because I'm too stubborn to die. I hold on the shirt even harder. And most of all because tomorrow is Oktoberfest, Butters, and Polka will never die. People tend to be generous when sharing their nonsense, fear, and ignorance. And while they seem quite eager to feed you their negativity, please remember that sometimes the diet we need to be on is a spiritual and emotional one. Be cautious with what you feed your mind and soul. Fuel yourself with positivity, and let that fuel propel you into positive action. The individual who says it is not possible should move out of the way of those doing it. It takes sunshine and rain to make a rainbow. There would be no rainbows without sunshine and rain. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. All that matters is you get up one more time than you were knocked down.